All right, moving on to our next Patreon request, and this one comes from Bill McLaughlin, who asked me to talk about my favorite Warhammer YouTubers and why I like them. It was a ranking video, but I was like, that feels a little unfair, so I kind of tweaked it. Anyway, as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the second tier. That'll allow you access to do so. Like I said, as of this recording today, I just posted my review of the Toxic Avenger remake. So, yeah, if you want to check that out, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over there, do all that. Anyway, so let's get started with the video. So there are a lot of YouTube. When I started to really get into Warhammer, I was out seeking Warhammer YouTube channels for a lot of different reasons. So like learn about lore, learn about the game, watch the tabletop, all of that. Like there are no shortage of YouTuber channels. Unfortunately, Games Workshop really does like to cut the balls off of a lot of them. Sadly, some of them do not exist anymore, just are forced to go away from Warhammer in general. You know, Warhammer for some reason just hates its fan base. Fuck you, I guess. I mean, Games Workshop, it just hates its fan base. So I'm going to talk about some favorite YouTubers of mine that really got me into the series. And these can be like recommendations if you want to check out Warhammer but don't know where, because trust me, there's a lot of lore. These YouTubers give it in pretty easy, explainable packages and also are pretty fun in their own right. And if there are any out there, if you have a YouTube recommendation channel, just hit the link in this. Why did I go into that diatribe? Just tell me in the comments below. Also, I know some people are going to say, what about Major Kill? I don't care for his work. I watched some of his videos, and I'm just like, this guy's really off-putting. I got nothing against him, but this channel's whole thing is off-putting. I don't care for it. But we're going to talk about some other channels that I think that I would. And if you do have a Warhammer YouTube channel to recommend, let me know in the comments below. So we're going to start off with the big one first, Weshammer. Weshammer is awesome. I think he's fun. He's also got some really cool ideas about and topics to really talk about. He's also Weshammer is, when you think of YouTuber channels, you think of Weshammer. I think he does a great job of describing the universe or certain factions or the tabletop as a whole. I think also he is phenomenal at telling it in a way that you can understand. Like, it's all like very like concise, and there's a lot of fun to it too. I also like his theory videos as well. They're not out there and just like, you know, this and that. I think Weshammer has got it down to a science when it comes to like explaining Warhammer. His videos are pretty long and they're nice to listen to in the background too. Now to talk about a YouTuber channel that really got me into Warhammer, and specifically what made me really appreciate Warhammer Fantasy even more, and that is Pancreas No Work. Pancreas No Work is a YouTube channel that I fucking adore. I think this is the channel, when I was getting into Warhammer 40k, he was talking about like all these other factions. He does talk about like other factions like Star Wars and Halo, but I got an appreciation from Fantasy and Age of Sigmar from him. He does a great job of, because I wasn't interested in Fantasy or Age of Sigmar, but then he told me about the glory of the Skaven, and I was like, tell me more about the crack addict Ratmen. And that's why I've become like, sometimes I feel like I love Fantasy more than 40k. But he does a great, his videos are fun. They're pretty basic, but he's really funny. I also think he's really good at telling you the lore in a very diatribe. He's the reason also why I've come, like, when he talks about his hatred for Bretonnia and looking at the lore itself, and maybe go, yeah, Bretonnia sucks. And Skaven are great, and so are the Tomb Kings. But he also has, like, such a sardonic sense of humor. It's really great. I recommend him if you want to learn more about fantasy. Then Fantasy and Age of Sigmar. There you go. Yeah. So he was one of the first channels I encountered. Then I found others through him. Another one I really suggest is Crackduck. Crackduck is a YouTuber who does like little animations, and he's also really good at telling you about each faction, as well as I think it's really cool because he also tells you about the battles of Warhammer, like telling you about the Battle of Cadia, the Fall of Cadia, the Battle of Rindsworld, the Battle of the Battle of the Runefang between the Thousand Suns and the Space Wolves. It's really cool. Like, his channel is really fun. I think also, like, he's got some great opinions on like why we shouldn't hate the Tau, or why the Raven Guard are actually really cool. He's very convincing too. I really do appreciate that. The dude is actually really convincing in that regard. I think he's really cool. Next up, Numbskulls. Numbskulls is interesting because it's more of a podcast kind of feel. The show is basically a guy and his girlfriend, who's a voice actress / psychiatrist, and they talk about war. He just basically explains Warhammer to his girlfriend. It's literally what the show's called, Explaining Warhammer to My Girlfriend. And I have to be honest, I have been in that boat before, my friend. And it's actually really fun because she asks questions, and I love the back and forth between them. I have now added "I like that less" in my lexicon. So I think that's really cool. I think they're fun. I really like their opinions on certain Primarchs. I also really like their episode on Valkia the Bloody. That one was, I think, my favorite so far from them, is the episode about Valkia the Bloody. Trying to think, because there are a few others that I really do enjoy. Another one I think I'm going to drop real quick is Gimgam Gets Glitzdaka. Try saying that 5,000 times, or even 5 times. Glitzdaka is a very interesting channel because, much like Pancreas No Work, and I forgot to mention this before, Pancreas No Work really has a thing for the High Elves as well as the Eldar, and it's made me really appreciate like Eldar and High Elf lore. Glitzdaka, if you didn't catch from that name, Gimgam Glitzdaka is literally a dude whose whole channel is about orcs. So if you want to learn about orcs, and if you really want to like know what the orc nation is all about, there's your guy. He will literally tell you everything about orcs. He will also, I love his thing called "Is It Orky?" And he basically plays a character. He plays an orc of the Bad Moons, and he basically goes around talking about certain things and like, is that orky? Like, would an orc like this, or would an orc like that? And he tells it all from an orc's perspective. So I really do like that in regard. Yeah. So Gimgam Glitzdaka, that's another solid channel if you want to learn about, specifically about orc stuff. Trying to think of like who else I have really enjoyed as a channel, because I've talked about Wes, I talked about Pancreas, I talked about Glim. I have literally talked about like the ones that have really got me into Warhammer and ones I go to constantly for that. I will also say, if you want to check out tabletop videos with cool edited effects, tabletop Warhammer in 40 minutes. It's quick 40-minute matches that are like under an hour, of different players who come in and fight each other on the tabletop with cool scenarios, cool battles, cool figures, and also they add in like explosions, lasers, so it's not it's not like you're just looking at figures all day. So I really do appreciate that. It's funny because I actually have a Pancreas No Work video on right now. I'm so professional on this goddamn channel, because I know I'm forgetting someone. Oh, the Book of Coyer. That's the one I'm forgetting. The Book of Coyer is a YouTube channel that kind of talks about things like in the form of like a fantasy story. And they do 40K, but if you want to do like more Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar stuff, they give you the lore told like old tomes. Like they literally talk about it like in the form of like old, like this old, like it almost sounds like an old wizard telling you an ancient story. I really love their videos about the Skaven, talking about the lesser clans, the greater clans, and the origin of the Skaven. I think their Skaven work is the best. And maybe that sounds a little biased because your boy still really does love the Skaven. Trying to think, because now I'm looking at my channel, right, my YouTube page on my TV right now, and Again, I'm so professional. Um, yeah, but I think those are the big ones. I think Book of Coir, that's another big one right there. Um, I know, there are just mountains and mountains of YouTube channels, of Warhammer YouTube channels. It is everywhere. Like, it is legit everywhere, and you can't really stop it, right? But yeah, those are some YouTube channels I would highly recommend. They helped me get into Warhammer, and if you guys want to get into Warhammer, those are the YouTube channel recommendations I would appreciate. I think would be really cool for you to check out. And if I missed any, if you have any YouTube channels out there for you to recommend, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, you guys tell me your favorites as well. And once again, I'd like to thank Bill McLaughlin for this Patreon request and continued patronage. And yeah, once again, hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the multiverse.